Undercover cops. What's the worst thing that happened when your cover got blown? The judge made me organize case files of missing children before he told me I looked exactly like the man who took his niece. I was 18 months into an undercover operation when they arrested me at a suspected safe house. I couldn't break cover without endangering 7 kids still captive, so I let them take me. First time Judge Callahan saw me at sentencing, he froze mid-gavel strike, gripped the bench until his knuckles went white, then had to be prompted twice by the bailiff to continue. Within minutes, he denied bail. He didn't give a real reason either, just flight risk and danger to the community. But this wasn't normal procedure. Callahan had them place me in general population with violent offenders and made sure word spread I was a child PR dater, even though my cover charges were minor substance possession. When I got to prison, my cellmate told me why Callahan acted this way. Judge's niece Heidi disappeared 5 years ago. Some sick freak took her. He hasn't been the same since. But that still didn't explain why Callahan was taking it out on me. I'd never seen the man before. Still, Callahan was going to make sure I suffered like he had. He transferred me during gang fights, denied money for food so I survived on moldy bread, and rejected every protection request after inmates learned I was supposedly a pedophile. When I tried contacting my handler through my lawyer, Callahan monitored calls and ordered psych evaluation for delusional behavior when I mentioned I was undercover. The worst part was when he selled me with Vance, an actual child color who wouldn't stop describing what he did to a girl who looked just like Heidi. 3 months of listening to that nearly broke me completely, but nothing compared to the psychological torture Callahan put me through. Callahan would have me brought to the courthouse at 3 a.m. for administrative hearings that were just him showing me missing children cases. He made sure I memorized every detail until I could recite them in my sleep. By the end of the month, I knew the names of 37 missing kids, their birthdays, what they were wearing when they vanished. During mandatory psych evaluations, he'd sit in the corner playing recordings of parents begging for their children back. If I closed my eyes or looked away, solitary. If I broke down, solitary. If I stayed stone-faced, he'd double my work detail. 6 months in, I snapped. 3 of the kids I was trying to save had already been sold overseas because I was stuck in here. I tried escaping during a medical transfer, made it past 2 checkpoints before guards tackled me in the parking lot. Turns out, Callahan had been watching on camera and let me get just far enough to add attempted escape to my charges. He visited me in medical while I was still bruised and bleeding from the beating. Those children didn't get to choose freedom, he said. Neither do you. This continued for 10 months. Then, on the 5th anniversary of Heidi's disappearance, 2 guards dragged me to Callahan's chambers at 2 a.m. His desk was littered with whiskey bottles and his walls covered with missing posters. Heidi was young, maybe 7, loved butterflies according to the reports. Callahan told me he had received a video the day before showing his niece's last moments, and he couldn't watch it until tonight while wasted. He said I needed to watch it too, to see what I had done. He put on the grainy footage where I saw a man grabbing a little girl outside a church, and even though the quality was awful, I knew that build and that walk, it was Jenkins. I'd studied every piece of evidence from Heidi's case during my 18 months undercover, memorizing Jenkins's features since I was impersonating him. My blood went cold because he wasn't just some old suspect. He was Damien Callahan's right-hand man at the church. The pieces clicked together fast. Damien ran youth programs where Jenkins worked. They'd been partners since before Heidi died. Jenkins grabbed the kids. Damien made them disappear. When Callahan paused the video, he spoke. You know what makes this worse? He pulled out case files from his drawer. My brother found her body, had visions from God about where she was. The church called him a prophet. His voice broke. I made him a hero. I couldn't sit there listening to him talk about his brother like that when I knew the truth. Since my cover was blown and I was bleeding internally from the last beating, I told him everything. Your brother didn't find Heidi. He put her there. I explained the 18-month operation, how I'd memorized my handler's direct line and case codes, but Callahan had blocked every attempt to verify them. Every call monitored, every letter intercepted, every visitor turned away. Damien wasn't just involved. He was running the whole ring. Heidi was going to tell about his games, so he silenced her permanently, then played the grieving uncle who helped bring closure. 7 kids were still captive in his network, and every day I spent in here was another day they suffered. Callahan's hands shook as he dialed the number I gave him. My captain confirmed everything in 30 seconds. Callahan called the FBI himself and led the raid on his brother's church. They found 3 kids alive in the basement. 4 had already been moved, including 1 sold the day after Callahan sentenced me. In Damien's office, they found videos of Heidi begging for Callahan to save her, while Damien told her the judge couldn't help her now. Callahan and me sat there in silence, knowing the judge who'd sworn to protect children had spent years protecting the monster instead.